Villarreal, and we've got Paul up Villarreal. We're talking off air, we're talking on air. There's a lot of things hot that is happening right now. There's a lot of different things that's going on that we have to get into, and we're gonna get into. All right, and what we're getting into tonight, what we're talking about tonight, is Caitlin Clark, and she has now rematched with Angel Reese. This time it's in the WNBA. A lot's happening there. Paul is the NBA expert, and if anyone remembers that we used to cover the whole Jeremy Lin thing a lot, when he was with the Knicks and Rockets and everything, and we've got a lot of Jeremy Lin fans out there on YouTube and whatnot, and I'm not going to make any promises, but we're thinking about hitting that basketball coverage again, and definitely Caitlin Clark is a big part of that. She broke the NCAA record. We know we saw the story thing with the Iowa Hawkeyes out there, and now she's in the WNBA. She has got a huge contract, a $20 million plus contract with Nike. But she's gone from the NCAA, championship type of stuff, or in that whole mix. She didn't win the championship. Paul knows more than I, and he'll be able to speak to that. But now she's in the WNBA, so it's almost like there's nonstop here. She did the draft, she was picked it, but now she's gone to a team that wasn't the greatest. That's how that works with the draft, the NBA lottery, now the WNBA lottery, things like that. But she's rematched with Angel Reese from LSU. She got some rough treatment. She got knocked to the floor. People are talking about people. There's haters out there that are hating. There's a lot of things that are happening. Paul, bring us up to speed. I'm going to get some articles for us to look at here on the screen when we talk about it. I know you are the NBA expert, and we can extend that to the WNBA, I believe. And so why don't we, or the basketball expert rather, why don't we talk about what's going on here? What's up with Caitlin Clark?
Yeah. So here's kind of where we're at right now. Caitlin Clark was drafted number 1 this summer to the Indiana Fever. And the Indiana Fever right now, I think they're 2-8 on the year. They're not a good team. Caitlin is adjusting to the NBA, to the WNBA. She, the ability is there. Things are much different than they were for her at Iowa. The offense isn't run around her. Maybe the chemistry with the teammates isn't there yet. The team is a very young team in general. So that's something as well, and all of this is expected. And also for her, I think there's probably some fatigue involved because she basically went right from the end of the Iowa season right into the WNBA season. So that for a lot of rookies, it's a difficult transition just because of the timing of the year and how it goes. But what we're seeing now is she's still, there are areas of her game where she's struggling a bit, like turnovers. People might have expected more points per game from her, this type of thing. But overall, she's definitely doing well. I mean, you can clearly see the ability there. She's averaging a good number of rebounds, averaging a good number of assists. I almost think like she's doing more kind of as a point guard playmaking than scoring right at this point in time. And so that's kind of an overall. Also, it has to be said that opponents are highly focused on her, meaning that their defenses are geared towards stopping her. The level of defense of a defensive attention that she is given compared to the average player is like far more. Just some of the techniques that are being used, some of the everything is so much is focused by the opponents on stopping her. And look, some of that's normal. Like when Jordan came into the league, there was, people wanted to make him look bad, or they wanted to freeze him out, or different things like this. Some of it's just part of the territory. When you go from being the all-time leader in scoring in college, male or female, you come into the league and people are looking at you. They're trying to shut you down. They're trying to, all that type of thing. But I think I think her development is fine. There's plenty that the team needs to work on. But what's more interesting, I think, overall, is this unbelievable level of discussion around her stardom. How does she figure into things versus people like Angel Reese or a player for the Las Vegas Aces named Asia Wilson, who's probably the best player in the league. And there's all this talk about Well, does she get too much coverage? Is she being babied? Are people being too physical with her? There's all of this noise coming from all sides, and that's part of why we're making this video, to try to kind of cut through the noise a little bit and tell you what's really going on, so people understand.
Well, let me talk about this. This is somewhat breaking here from Michael Vopel at ESPN.com, June 5th, 2024. Today, updated at 5:29 p.m. Headline: UConn's Gino Auriemma says Fever's
Yeah,
Caitlin Clark being "quote unquote" targeted. And they talk about,
yeah,
and they show a picture here, of Kennedy Carter, the foul on Caitlin Clark. And you have Caitlin Clark on the floor after that hard body check by Kennedy Carter. And it says, I think there was some verbal stuff from Carter before the flagrant foul, and it was upgraded to a flagrant 1 by the WNBA on Sunday. And here's a couple pull quotes here from Auriemma. And it was like, quote, I don't remember when, quote unquote, I don't remember when Jordan came into when Michael Jordan came into the NBA, Michael and NBA were added, guys looking to go out and beat him up, unquote. Auriemma told reporters, quote, I don't remember when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came in the league and elevated the NBA, them getting targeted and getting beat up just because they were who they were, because of who they were and the attention they were getting. Sorry about that. I didn't do that quote perfectly. Larry and Johnson were added to that quote, as was Michael and NBA. And basically what Auriemma is saying is, listen, there's been some amazing players before. There's been some fantastic players on the NBA side, but they haven't gotten a level of physical heat and this targeting, alleged potential targeting, and maybe the level of haterade. What do you think about that, Paul? You're the NBA expert. You're the basketball expert. Is that accurate in your opinion?
yeah. I do think there's some accuracy to that. Now, look, everybody knows what happened with Kennedy Carter of the Chicago Sky. Okay, that's one thing, but more than that is happening. More than that is happening. Gino Auriemma is a legendary coach, legendary college basketball coach for a women's college basketball for the University of Connecticut. I don't know how many national championships he's won, but I believe he's won several. So he's totally respected, and you have to take what he says seriously. And he knows the game. He knows the women's game. So if he's saying this, then he's obviously seen it. And of course, you remember the great Dick Vitale,
Sure, of
who, of course, was a college basketball institution for ESPN. He said similar things, and other people have said similar. The problem here, look, he mentioned Jordan, and I mentioned Jordan. Gino mentioned Jordan. Look, I will tell you this. That's true. In Jordan's rookie year, people were not trying to beat him up. I agree with Gino about that. They were trying to make Jordan look bad, though. And there's legendary stories about that. Fortunately for them, it didn't really work that well. But there were attempts to kind of, tamp down the hype and different stuff like this. However, a few years later, when Jordan and the Bulls started playing the Detroit Pistons in a serious level, like in the Eastern Conference Championships, they did try to beat Jordan up. That's what the famous thing called the Jordan rules.
Right.
But that was a different thing. But it wasn't when he was a rookie. I think what people are concerned about here, and look, this has gone. Politicians like Jim Banks of Indiana has written to the WNBA commissioner saying, what are you going to do to protect Caitlin Clark and so forth. So this is definitely a growing issue. And of course, there are people on the other side saying, oh, you're protecting her and babying her. And so you're getting, like I said, there's so much conversation out there. Here's the deal. Look, I played basketball. I played basketball my whole life. You know it. Basketball is a physical sport. People do get hit. They do get knocked down. Sometimes it happens. Was that foul out of line? Yes, it was. I think part of the problem that people had with that was that it was not called a flagrant foul at the time. It was just called a common foul. That's not a common foul. When you do not have the ball, or the person you hit does not have the ball and you knock them to the ground, that's not a normal foul. So I think people are upset that they didn't get the call right at the moment. Now, does stuff like that happen? Yeah, it happens. Sure, it happens. But, you don't want to see it happening game after game after game. There are various videos of Caitlin really taking some hard shots. And so that is a concern. I think the overall deal here is that no matter what anybody thinks, or if people think they're over or she's overhyped, or if they don't like the attention she gets, the bottom line is that Caitlin Clark is the golden goose. And Pat McAfee pointed this out really well the other day in kind of a PowerPoint way and stuff. It is about her. That doesn't mean nobody else matters and you don't give attention to the other women because they deserve attention. But if you want to make money and if you want to grow your game, you need to feature her. And if she's getting beaten up, that isn't going to help anybody. And I think that's part of what Gino and some of the other people are saying is like, look, you guys are, you're ruining your meal ticket. And that's just not a smart strategy for anybody. And plus, of course, obviously, you don't want to actually see her get hurt, like truly get an injury from this type of stuff. So I'm not surprised people are speaking out. I think it's good. I think that, look, all the rookies, it's like fraternity hazing. Okay, you go through some stuff and mess with you. That's okay, but you still don't want to beat people up. If you're going to guard her hard and, do stuff, that's fine. Don't physically, just beat her up over and over again. So I am glad this is being pointed out. I do think it will help. I think it will help clean things up. And look, the best thing I can say about this in terms of Caitlin is Caitlin hasn't said anything about any of this. She hasn't complained. She hasn't whined. She hasn't asked for anything extra. When that incident happened with Kennedy Carter, she basically said, like, look, stuff happens. I didn't want to retaliate because if I retaliate, I'm gonna get a foul. Maybe I'm gonna get ejected, and you don't want to do that. That's just not intelligent basketball. So I respect that about her, that she hasn't. I'm not in her head. I don't know what she's thinking, but she hasn't said anything about any of this. She's not getting caught up in this, talking about it, and so on and so forth. And honestly, to be very honest with you, and older fans will remember this from the late 1980s, mention Larry Bird. Late 1980s, the Celtics, like 1987, I believe it was, the Celtics played the Pistons. And this was Larry Bird against basically Isaiah Thomas, Dennis Rodman, that team. That was the great Piston team that won a couple titles. Well, that was the famous series in the playoffs where it's, Larry Bird steals the ball. It basically stole an inbounds pass that Detroit made, and he made a pass, they scored, they ended up winning the series, and that play was pivotal to them winning the series in that game. Well, after that happened, after that game took place, after that series ended, I don't know, I can't remember if that was the series ending game. I just don't remember. Both Rodman and Isaiah essentially said something to the effect of, and this isn't me saying it, this is them saying it, basically said, hey, and it started with Rodman, which is not a surprise, given we all know how much Rodman will say whatever he wants to say. Basically, Rodman said, look, I'm tired of talking about Larry Bird, and if, basically you're talking about him and pumping him up because of his race, essentially. Now, when that happened, first of all, that's nonsense. Larry Bird was an unbelievable player, and I say that as somebody who did not like Larry Bird, but right. I feared Larry Bird. I feared Larry Bird as
the
someone
NBA
who liked teams
assassin from French Lick, Indiana. The guy made it happen out there. Had the crazy mullet too, but the showdowns with him and Magic were legendary.
Yeah, just look, Larry Bird's one of the top 10 players ever, without any question about that. So he earned everything. But what was great about that, look, and of course, this is the words of people who are upset because they just lost. And so you understand it. You didn't have to go to that thing, but whatever. And Isaiah basically I kind of agree. And then he later apologized and, whatever. But the thing is this, what was really great about that all is that Larry Bird, of course, the reporters came, what do you think about this? What do you think? And he didn't bite on it. He's like, nah, I don't care. If he wanted to play victim off of that, he could have, but he didn't. And that's why I think a lot of people had a lot of respect for him, because he just was not going to do that, because it's not who he was. And that's the same thing with Caitlin. She could be out there saying, oh, they're mean to me. She's not doing that. She's not doing that. And I think that's gaining her a lot of respect, certainly among fans, but also probably among the other players.
So
because look, I mean, the scrutiny is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Now let's throw a couple other things in the mix right here. So continuing this article a little bit, and it's basically, saying, you have Ariema is basically saying like, hey, she's getting a lot of attention now. If you were in her spot, you'd want that too. This is great for the WNBA. It's just the right moment, right time. But then you have, former UConn player Rebecca Lobo, who also played for that coach, and saying, look, this is all this is a little bit nonsense and whatever in terms of the physical targeting. She did say though that, like, quote, we've never seen a rookie picked up 94 feet from the basket when she doesn't have the ball in her hands.
That's what I'm talking about. She is getting a very different level of defensive attention than most players get. That is correct.
Right. But then she kind of ended about, some physicality. However, she says that, quote, I have not seen anything excessive or anything dirty until the Kennedy Carter hit. Kennedy gave a previously toothless argument some fangs, unquote. Okay, so that's that. Now, the other aspect that I want to bring in on this, and I think that this is important here, okay, is the aspect of Angel Reese. And now we will famously remember the Cena, you can't see me type of deal and all that happened there when the win and how Angel Reese kind of, in my opinion, maybe got in her face. And I'm a very casual fan. I mean, you're someone that has followed this stuff much, much more. But we have this video here from ESPN. I'm probably not going to be playing it. We'll talk about it. Where Angel Reese had a press conference. This is, and we have a longer cut from that from the Chicago station, Fox 32 Chicago. You also have WGN News there out of Chicago that also cover this, what happened afterwards. And you have Angel Reese and Kennedy Carter there. But the reason I put this up here with ESPN, and let me do that right now. 1 second. Yeah, you've got Angel. I'm a little bit in the way here. Let me try to adjust that a little bit. You've got Angel Reese, who the headline from ESPN, I'm going to have to move this a little bit, is basically, quote, headline, Angel Reese, people watch WNBA for me too, not just one person. WNBA on ESPN. You've got ESPN there, has 145,000 views there. And I think in that quote, because I listened to the sound, I listened to this press conference, and it was basically to the extent of like Angel Reese is saying, hey, I was there, too. And I was with, I'm a great player too. And I was doing great things as well. And basically that she's playing, quote unquote, the bad guy, and she's okay playing that bad guy. And the rivalry. And again, Johnson versus Bird, we've seen this before, right? We've seen this before. We've seen Shaq. We've seen, obviously the late, great, Kobe. Yes, correct. Yep. Mamba and everything like that. So what do you make of that? I buy into this. I actually posted some stuff on LinkedIn, and I might talk about that later. I really it went over this, but I want to tee you up and have you talk about what you want to. What do you think of that statement by Angel Reese saying, I'm part of this story. I'm helping to elevate the story of Caitlin Clark. Yeah, I mean, she may be the star, but you can't be, it's hard to have Luke Skywalker without Darth Vader, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And look, I mean, here's what I'll say. First of all, just with Caitlin and what she's bringing. Caitlin Clark is like Tiger Woods. Caitlin Clark is like Hulk Hogan. You're talking about a level of attraction that is extremely rare. And the truth is, most of what's happening is because of her. But that being said, Angel is correct in the sense that she has brought more fans. She has developed her own fan base. Yeah, she got it from playing off of Caitlin Clark. But you know what it reminds me of? Although it's not to the same level, I don't think Angel will ever get to this level. But it's almost like De La Hoya versus Mayweather.
Yes.
When De La Hoya, De La Hoya was the attraction. Mayweather was not the attraction. But then they fought, and Mayweather won, and then Mayweather became an attraction himself. Now, again,
even though De La Hoya, Mayweather was the better boxer. Right.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Well, then Mayweather came on to actually become the biggest attraction ever in boxing. So I don't think Angel is going to mimic that, but it's still the same concept, which is you have a huge star in De La Hoya or Caitlin, and somebody else comes in and they carve out their own thing with that person. Well, and that's exactly what happened with De La Hoya and Mayweather.
And I will say this, and I think the analogy, and I'm gonna be careful how I say this. All right, but I've seen some things out there, and I don't even want to cite it. I mean, maybe I'll pull it up just for the reference, stuff like that. But it was something to the extent of people trying to, pull some racial angles into this, which is, I just hate all that stuff, right?
Yes.
And people, right? It's just terrible. And people
it's really unfortunate.
It's just, can we get beyond all this? And people, and part of that, I think I saw something, Paul, and you'll let me know if that's not. And I got to be real careful how I navigate through this one, and because you'll see where we're going here. But I think it needs to be said, because in defense of everybody here, on all sides here in the league and everything like that, and the fans, right? Well, first of all, it's all my personal opinion, I think I saw something I don't speak for all fans. I just, I think I saw something to the effect of like, oh yeah, that Caitlin's popular because of a racial angle, and then also
that's definitely been said.
Okay, and also like because of a physical attractive angle as well.
Yeah, that was also said, which is absurd.
Now, listen. I gotta be real careful how I navigate this. I may make a mistake. I apologize if I do. I reserve the right to revise and extend everything. This is all my personal opinion. I'm happily married, everything like that. I'm not trying. But when we talk about these two that are tied together, and Angel Reese, I think, is very, very smart to tie herself to Caitlin Clark. Absolutely, that's what you want to do. Yeah. I mean, Angel Reese. Let me tell you something. I don't know what degree she got at LSU, but she's very quickly getting a PhD in marketing here. I'm just telling you that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Totally agree.
So no diss. First of all, let me say, okay. So let me say a couple things. And don't hate the player, hate the game, dude. I mean, I don't make the rules, stuff like that. There is no looks requirement or anything like that for the WNBA. Yeah. We appreciate Caitlin Clark because of her. And in fact, I think it should be applauded. I mean, first of all, this is my personal opinion. Caitlin Clark, I'm nobody, right? I mean, Caitlin Clark, makes, is taller. Anyway, so Caitlin Clark is super successful. We love her. God bless you, Caitlin Clark. You're fantastic. But I don't think anyone's going to confuse Caitlin Clark with a Victoria's Secret model. Okay, right. Even some of the new ones that they put out there with in the woke stuff, everything like that, and nobody cares, right? I mean, nobody don't care. Nobody, I don't care. I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan. I mean, I'm a non-fan of the NBA, and I'm a Caitlin Clark fan. Okay, I'm also an Angel Reese fan. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, let me just say this. The thing is this. We don't care what she looks like.
Don't care at all.
The reason we bring this up is to point out the absurdity of somebody, and somebody did say this.
Right.
Of somebody saying she has, quote unquote, pretty privilege. That's ridiculous.
Insane, dude. Let me see if I can pull that up.
First of all,
Let me see
it's a joke.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. No, that was said. Yeah, it was.
Right.
I know who said it.
Okay.
I mean, so.
Let me see if
But
I
the
can pull
point is,
that up.
so we're not just talking about. We don't care what Caitlin
Wow,
Clark
I
looks
do.
like.
I see. Okay, here we go. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pull this up. We're not making this up, folks. I don't want to talk
No,
about
right.
this.
We're
We're
pointing this out because this is an absurd criticism, and so we need to point out these are
Let
the
me pull this
kinds of
up.
things that are being said.
Let me pull this up just to set the table. Then I have more to talk about here. I got a lot more to talk about here. Okay, here we go. This is the New York Post. I believe this is our friend over there. I think Sonny Hosteen from The View. Okay, I think that's what we're dealing with, This is from, okay, here, what do we got here? We got New York Post. This is May 23rd, 2024. Quote, headline, Caitlin Clark's popularity is about, quote, white privilege and, quote unquote, pretty privilege, host of The View. And this is co-host Sonny Hosteen. Like, what are we talking about?
What else she also said? She also said Caitlin Clark had tall privilege. Bro, that's basketball.
Dude,
everybody playing basketball is tall.
Caitlin Clark is 6 feet tall. Angel Reese is 6'3", dude. Yeah, right, I mean, she's. I mean, this is what are we talking about here? So we're not making this. Right. We're not making this stuff up. I wish no. I don't want. I mean, I don't want to be talking about this. This is ridiculous. Yeah. But here's what I'm going to say, and let me come back to this. Let me make sure we can put this back on the screen. Okay. All right. So now we've got this back over here. Okay, we got Angel Reese now. And listen, I don't want to, I will say this in my humble opinion, dude. And again, I don't want to misrepresent it on this. Angel Reese to me is way hotter or better looking than Caitlin Clark. Right now, again, I don't know that either one of them is going to get signed a Victoria's Secret model or Ford modeling contract. Angel Reese, maybe possible. You know what I mean? And there you could Google. There's some cover pictures of Angel Reese. I'm not going to put them up there. I'm not trying to this is about sports. I want to focus on this. But I mean, like Angel Reese is, but here's the other thing about Angel Reese. Angel Reese has swag. Angel Reese's personality. She knows how to create a story. She has that a little, not full blast, but she has a little bit of that it factor. Okay. Now, Caitlin Clark has that super it factor on the court as a competitor, not unlike Larry Bird. I remember the first commercials with Larry Bird and some of the interviews, and it was very clunky. Right. He didn't have to. And in fact, they kind of played off that awkwardness, that clunkiness. Then you had Magic Johnson that was smooth, dude, Mr. LA and stuff like that. Or Kobe Bryant. Right. I mean, created the persona and stuff like that, Black Mamba and stuff like that. But Angel, I mean, it's so crazy to say that when those two are linked together, and Angel Reese has a bit of a glamour look, and athletic, has personality, has swag. In my estimation, in my personal opinion, I'm one person. Is you want to talk about pretty privilege? How do you say that about Caitlin Clark and not say that about Angel Reese? Maybe that's the better way to say it, right? What, Paul? Your comments?
Yeah, look, I agree with all that. So let me just say something else about the whole, the privilege, white privilege, and all this. Here's the deal. As somebody, again, who has played and watched a lot of basketball in my life, when I first saw Caitlin Clark, the thing that stood out to me was I've never seen a woman play like this. The way that she plays.
What a competitor.
It's very much like Steph Curry, shooting 3-pointers from 30 feet out on the logo, and step backs and quick, boom, 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 boom. That's different than how many other women play the game. And obviously she's a great scorer. So what is appealing about her is her game. That's what that is what people are drawn to. Are there people that like her because she plays the way she is and she happens to be white? Sure. But that's not the main driver of it. The main driver of it is how she plays. And one of the things that Pat McAfee pointed out in his little breakdown was, look, there have been other great white WNBA players, and guess what? None of them got the attention that Caitlin Clark's getting. Why? Because they don't play like she plays. And to be fair to Angel, I respect Angel's game. Her game is a lot of rebounding, offensive rebounding, putbacks. That's not nearly as exciting as what Caitlin Clark does from just
Well,
an
and you
aesthetics
tell me,
perspective.
you
It isn't.
talk, sure, and you talk about like, some of these analogies, and she's in Chicago. To me,
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark, this isn't the best analogy either, but she kind of reminds me a little bit of, CM Punk. She's good on the mic.
Well,
Go ahead.
I just say Caitlin Clark's in Indiana, which again makes it
No. I'm sorry.
even more.
I'm sorry. I meant Angel Reese.
Angel.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
I apologize.
You're right. You're right about that. I agree with that. That's a good thing. And she definitely, I think her personality fits well with Chicago. No question about it. So, but yeah, just coming back to that, it's like, look, I'll give you a great example. In the NBA, the best player in the NBA right now, in my opinion, although you could argue it between two people, is a player named Nikola Jokic. He's a Serbian guy. He's a big man. His game is not glamorous. He does not get a lot of marketing. He's not the guy that's featured on a bunch of things, even though he's the best player. There are players that are not as good as him that are much flashier and much more exciting. They get the coverage. They get the attention. So, in other words, I'm saying this because it's not just Caitlin Clark. This is how it happens in all kinds of different things. You mentioned a great example, Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor is not the best MMA fighter, but he's the most interesting MMA fighter.
I'll give you the
and
best.
That's why he gets attention.
Yeah, I'll give you the best example, or one of the best examples, honestly, Chael Sonnen. I have personally talked to and rolled on the mat with Chael Sonnen. And I haven't talked too much about this story. It was, we were at Cesar Gracie's. I don't want to get too into it, but we were at Cesar Gracie's studio in Concord, California. Pleasant Hill, technically. I think Pleasant Hill, I guess, technically. And I was talking about a lot of stuff, and he was about to release his book, and I was and then people were like, this is way early on. You can see the video that I did afterwards. You can see the interview with Jake Shields, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And long story short, I talked to him and kind of was this is before people were taking it super serious. I was breaking it down, and I was doing like the 4-time national champion and the Super Juniors. I have these different characters. They're me, whatever, but it's different versions of it. And I was explaining why that was important, how it's important to build a character, why this is, why media, because you had a lot of people there. In fact, the Diaz brothers, stuff like that at that time, my opinion, and they're great competitors, stuff like that. Like, oh, the press, sometimes they're not always super media friendly and stuff like that. They were cool to me when I was there, but I mean, I say no word about that. And it was explaining like why this is so crucial. And it wasn't too long after that you saw Chael Sonnen with the bad guy persona. I'm not alleging anything, whatever like that. And Chael's a very smart person, but regardless of however he did it or whoever, whatever happened there, I'll talk more about that later. I don't want to take up the time of this video to talk about that, but I was absolutely there. I was absolutely talking to him. There was contact information, I believe, exchanged and stuff like that. It was a long conversation, and a lot of people were watching my MMA videos and stuff like that. I interviewed all kinds of people, DC, Daniel Cormier, Herschel Walker, Batista, all kinds of different stuff. And the point being is Chael Sonnen never won a title. Not the best. I don't think in any promotion. Not good. Very good. Competed for titles. But not the best. Maybe not even. Maybe like a Bader type. Maybe not even I think Bader finally got a title, but Ryan Bader. But Chael Sonnen is just a big name and has a huge YouTube channel and has announced on the UFC. I mean, he created a persona and a marketing platform that far exceeded his abilities and brings money, brings commerce.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's the thing. And I'll say, and again, I want to be careful here. I'm not trying to I gotta be really careful how I do this. But I mean, and again, we don't mean any. We love everyone. Peace, love, freedom, opportunity, everything for everybody. But I feel like we have to address this thing from Sonny Hostin, because here's the thing: when you start throwing these things out there constantly, I just feel like you do so much damage to the debate, the discourse, and stuff like that. It just becomes toxic. It's not fair. So no one's trying to, do anything untoward here or anything like that. But we just have a Google search here. This is listen, this isn't me. This is Google. Okay. And everyone can be their own judge. I have no gospel on this or anything like that. But I mean, let's just look at a Google search here. Because she talked about pretty privilege, and you're going to have these people. Let's just look at a Google search here, and here's some pictures of. This is just what comes up, straight up. Caitlin Clark, right here. Caitlin Clark, Google search, right on images. Okay, so I mean, look, she's cool. She's basketball player doing her thing, competitor. We dig it, everything, and we got the heart thing, the Iowa. Look, she's cool. She looks good, professional, does her thing, everything like that. Fantastic, phenomenal basketball player. My opinion, not a supermodel, not even a model, like whatever. Who cares? I'm nobody. She's got $20 million. She's a WNBA star. It doesn't matter what I think, but she's cool. Nothing against her. She just maybe normal, right? I mean, it's not a diss, but she just looks like a normal basketball player. Looks solid, professional. She's cool, whatever like that. But for Sonny Hostin, pretty privilege. Now you put in Angel Reese, right? We'll just do this real time. I'm not, nothing to hide here. You put in Angel Reese. Angel Reese is she's got some glamour. And you could just tell personality. You could just tell. I mean, Angel Reese is a good looking woman, dude. And she's taller than Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese has some style. Angel Reese has some swag. And and I don't think Angel Reese is a supermodel either, but Angel Reese has some flair. Okay. And look, Angel Reese I love it. She's got the flex going on. I mean, Angel Reese should stick super close. She keep doing what you're doing. I would stick so close to Caitlin Clark right now. Angel Reese, I think, is so smart for what she's doing. I mean, I think she is on point. But if Sonny Hostin's going to talk about pretty privilege, how can you say that about Caitlin Clark and not say that about Angel Reese? What are you talking about? Paul, your comments.
Yeah, look, like I said, I mean, the truth is that the stuff that Sonny was saying has been echoed by many, many other people. There are so many people that are trying to attach to this story in a variety of ways. Unfortunately, there is a lot of racial stuff that's been said, which is really, really sad. And people trying to, push. There are people who want to push Caitlin up. There are people who want to bring her down. There's people who want to, play Angel off of her, play Asia Wilson off of her, and so on and so forth. But the bottom line is this. The bottom line is that Caitlin is the attraction. She is the attraction because of the way that she plays,
100%.
and nobody has seen anything like this. And the bottom line is you cannot make people like what you want, who you want them to like. Like everybody knows, Tiger was the draw. He was always the draw. He's still the draw, even though he's, in his 50s now and beaten up from all the injuries that he's had. They always tried to harness him for viewers. So you don't fight that. You go with that. And it's just, it is really unfortunate right now that there is kind of this resistance to Caitlin, I think is a good way to say it. And I think that people need to be open to change in circumstances. For example, as we both know, we're both boxing fans.
Yeah.
The way that the heavyweight or the higher weight divisions look now compared to the way that they looked in like 1990s is radically different. The reason for that is the Iron Curtain fell. And so you had a whole bunch more talent coming in than what you had previously.
Klitschko,
and so we're
Usyk,
used to
a lot of them.
The Klitschkos, Usyk, so on and so forth. There's so many heavier guys that are from like some of those former Soviet
Zhang,
nations.
Big Bang Zhang.
Zhang, yeah, that's a really good example. And so things change. Whoever, competition changes, competitors, talent pools, all of that alters. Just like we're seeing in the NBA right now with some of these European or international players. The international players in the NBA are the best players right now. Like the top 5 guys are probably all not Americans.
I think what you're saying, and I love where you're going with this. First of all, there's only one race, a human race. I hate all this stupid stuff anyway. Right? We're
Absolutely.
mixed race and stuff like that. I mean, and in fact, I will say this. I love what and I knew him before from the whole acted stupidly and the big adult sized tricycle and all that type of stuff. But I love what the professor from Harvard there is doing and his exposing. In fact, he sat down with our friend Sonny Hosteen here. What was it? Gates,
Henry Louis Gates.
Henry Louis Gates. In America, in a lot of places in the world, a lot of people are mixed at some point somewhere.
Mixed.
It's a big melting pot. Like, can we just get over all this
stuff?
Who
cares?
Who cares? But look, what let me just say this real quick. But what I think what you're saying and what I'm saying is, nobody or any one group or country or whatever has a patent on athletic ability or aesthetic beauty or anything like that. And
exactly.
And what kills me is the people that decry that were the same people, in my opinion, that might decry like, the WNBA doesn't get as much money as the NBA, and that's bias. Are the ones talking about pretty privilege and putting in all this looks and stuff like that, whatever. Now, what I've got up on here on the screen, you probably see it, Baltimore banner, the famous "You Can't See Me" from Angel Reese in the championship game against Caitlin Clark. And this is what I'm talking about. This kind of action, this kind of heat, this kind of marketing stuff like that. This adds a different dimension to it, and people want to see what's going to happen with Caitlin Clark. Is she going to bounce back? What's going to happen with Angel Reese? I like and you can see that we've got the cool nails here. I've never seen that style before. I love that. I'm so out of it. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I mean, to me, it's all good. It's all good. I think everybody's a winner here. I'm not advocating, the flagrant fouls or anything like that. I guess that's the question for you, Paul. And as we wind down here, we're going a little bit longer than I thought we were, but it's a lot to talk about. Two things. One is, do you think that the media out there is going to start talking more sensibly about Caitlin Clark and getting on the focusing on the basketball? Now, of course, it is a political year, and I feel like the Democrats are so desperate to put some different angles on stuff like that, right? And the View is one of them. But number two, on the court, do you feel like are they going to get some kind of protection for Caitlin Clark, or are we going to have like the what is it? What is the Brady rule, the Montana rule? Like, are we going to see the league react? Are we going to see the team react? Are we going to see more physical play? What do we expect on the court, and what do you expect from the commentary?
Okay, well, first let me just say this. I just as it comes to Caitlin, like her personality and just who she is, because I've seen her play enough, and I've watched enough of her interviews, kind of a sense of what her personality is. Caitlin Clark is what in common terms or slang is she's a baller. This is her life. This is what she does. This is who she is. And when it comes to I was a baller. I played all the time and everything. Every chance I could get. When you're a baller, when you're in that culture, it's all about, can you play? Are you good? Can you hang? When you go up to the gym, as you know, we used to go to RSF, and I would go up there and play when you're at school. Can you hold the court? Are you good enough to stay and win games? That's really what it all comes down to. When you're on the court, that's what it's about. And she's about that.
That's a gym in Berkeley, California. It's a student gym. And you have a lot of people that came in. Some people from Berkeley, from Oakland, student players, stuff like that. A lot of people coming in there. A lot of ballers coming in there. And
are you high-level basketball?
High level. Are you staying on the court? Do people want to pick you for the team? Is it 3-on-3, 5-on-5? What are we doing?
5-on-5 full court.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about, again, the way that it goes in basketball pickup is if you win, you stay, you stay on the court. If you lose, you're out. You got to get on the back of the line. So of course you're incentivized to win, and people who are picking teams want to pick you if you're going to win, if you're going to help them win. So it's like I said, she's a competitor. This is who she is. And obviously she can hang and everything like that. So I just want to say that she is completely immersed in basketball culture. This is her life. And she, much less concerned about what she's wearing or anything like that. And credit to her, nothing against anybody else, but that's who she is. Now, coming to what's going to happen on the court, I think there will be less physical play with her because now that this has been called out and we saw the attention that Kennedy Carter got for this, I think you're going to see less of this. Now, I'm not going to say people are going to go easy on her, but I think you will see less deliberate, instances of physicality. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to go, light on her, but, you're not going to hit her deliberately, which is what was done there. Yeah, I think that will get better. Do I think the teammates will help more? Yeah, they probably will. I don't know if they're going to get an enforcer. They got some strong, tall, powerful women on that team. So, if they want to play that role, they probably can. Finally, is the commentary going to change? In the short term, I don't think it's going to change. I think it's going to get worse. And as you mentioned, it is a political year. And what has happened with all of this is it has become a political football where everybody's got to get, it's a proxy. If you want to make your point about something else, you're using Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and so forth as your little talking points. So I don't think it's going to get better in the short term. I do think it will get better in the long term. The only thing I would say about all this is, this is obviously growing interest in the game. I would just hope that Caitlin Clark is kind of able to distance herself from the noise. And you and I talked about this off the air. This reminds me of Novak Djokovic whenever he decided not to do the COVID vaccine. And when he didn't do that, the entire media came down on him like a hammer and basically was rooting for him to fail. Wow. And I hope that it had an effect on him. Like, it definitely stressed him out. He was able to overcome that, and he's now, clearly the GOAT of the sport. I don't think there's any question about that. But it took a lot for him to get through to that. So I just hope that Caitlin is able to kind of keep her head about this and just work through it. And honestly, all signs point to she will be able to do that.
Oh, we're big fans of
otherwise,
Caitlin.
everything will work itself out.
Yeah, I think so. Big fans of Caitlin Clark. Love what Angel Reese is doing too. I think it's like this. No one's against the physical play, but it's like, no. It's, but within reason, I mean, I think the league is starting to understand that Caitlin Clark and everyone in the league should understand that instead of being like, Caitlin Clark is a moneymaker, dude. I mean, you don't get mad at Hulk Hogan if he packs the building. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm talking about right there. Don't get mad at Conor McGregor if he packs the building. You know what I'm saying? And once you saw like Chael Sonnen and McGregor, then all of a sudden we saw Kobe Covington. We saw a lot of other people, getting the personalities and getting the things going on. At the end of the day, like, look, we're in a world now, just real quick. We're in a world now where everything's hyper competitive. Like whether it's our show, my radio show, UFC, football, soccer, there's so many different choices and so many different media outlets that, people have to decide how they're going to spend their time and why they're going to spend their time. And as you said before, Paul, and I think it's quite right, is people don't want to see, what they can see on at their local gym. They want to see extraordinary. This is why we love the Olympics. Like, I've been fat. I mean, every 4 years, I was a 4-time national champion, took in the world in my sport, and I've been like diving into the NPC sports, the track race and stuff. You have Noah Lyles, who's phenomenal, super phenom, and I was a huge Sha'Carri Richardson fan before it was even cool. Okay, and then for Orville Seville, and Seville, look back at him, and is that a diss? And they just had the thing in Jamaica and stuff like that. We love it. Like, there's stories because they're so great. Because it's only interesting because the Seville ran a 9.82. Okay, and they're not even. We're not even at the Olympics yet. So who knows how much faster it's going to get Diamond Leagues. That's the thing. The level of play has to be there, and the level of play is there. And this is the WNBA's time. This is Caitlin Clark's time. And if Angel Reese is smart, I'd jump on that bandwagon and get it going right now. So I love it. Paul, final words from you.
Yeah, I just want to back up what you said earlier. I am absolutely 100% convinced that both Chael Sonnen and Ronda Rousey took elements of what you did and incorporated it into their own characters, so to speak. Yes,
yeah, because that crew was I think there was a connection there and stuff like that and whatnot. And Caitlin Clark is a crybaby from Cherish. Why do you say that? What are you talking about? I mean,
no.
I mean, listen, there's different kinds of players too,
no,
right? I mean,
stop.
You
want to know who's a crybaby? The guy that's going to the finals right now, Luka Doncic. He's a crybaby. She is not a crybaby. Come on.
But here's the other thing too. You can have different types of players in the league that are both great, right? I mean, John Stockton. Are you going to call? He's not the same player as a Karl Malone, and they're on the same team. You understand what I'm saying?
True.
Karl Malone, physical, the mailman, stuff like that. John Stockton, was fantastic in dishing around. Who was one better than the other? I don't know. Maybe I don't.
They're close.
They were close. But Steph Curry's not going to have the same physicality as a LeBron James, and nor would you expect that.
You've seen me play. I was always extremely physical.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
And I totally respect that. But again, there's a difference between being physical and targeting somebody for cheap shot hits. You don't want to do that, and you particularly don't want to do that to the Golden Goose.
Well,
look,
correct.
Yeah, I will say this. I will agree with Rebecca Lobo in the sense that I don't think she's being super targeted until that one hit. I pretty much agree with Rebecca about that. The truth is, basketball's physical. You get hit. I mean, even if you're on the perimeter, you still get hit sometimes. So there's a little bit of extra stuff, but like nothing ridiculous until that one play.
Yeah, I mean, you don't if you do, to use a hockey analogy, you don't let Wayne Gretzky get into a brawl with the Hanson brothers.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
from
really,
Slapshot.
really good analogy. Gretzky, as everybody knows, best player hockey ever, maybe one of the best players, one of the best athlete ever, best team sport player ever. Gretzky was not a big guy. And so, of course, if you mess with Gretzky, they're going to get you. The Oilers or whoever, they're sending out the guys, the big boys, to take you.
Yeah,
down.
Like I said,
so,
you're not letting,
you never did that.
I'll
That's
show
a
it
good
on
point.
the screen right now. Obviously, from the famous, I think, who was in that? Paul Newman was in that. You don't. Wayne Gretzky's not having a all-out brawl with the Hanson brothers here. Okay,
no,
that's not happening there. But yeah, Paul Newman, right? And that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
So here we go. Listen. Great talk, great discussion. Went longer than we thought, but so much to talk about here. Welcome everyone's comments and stuff like that. I may or may not put this up on LinkedIn. I don't know. We'll see. But we're listen. Let us know this. Paul is an NBA expert. We were on the Jeremy Lin, the Jalen train before almost anybody. We were so all over that. We're thinking about, are we going to cover this some more? Are we going to start being on top of this? Because Paul knows how to do it. I know how to do it as a former world-class competitor and not the basketball expert, but a lot of people might. Go ahead, Paul. I know you want to get in here. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Well, all I was going to say, I'm just saying, I'm backing you up, and you might not be a basketball guy, but what you definitely are is a marketing guy and a guy who understands the impact of what these people are doing from a bottom line cash perspective. You know what Angel Reese is doing is good. You understand what kind of a cash cow that Caitlin Clark is. So we're not just talking about on the court stuff here. We're talking about everything else. And in that regard, in terms of marketing and discourse, You are an expert at that.
And broadcast, radio, TV, streaming, everything.
Yes.
And I was like a 4-time national champion, probably was the third in the world. And I've trained a bunch of world-class and professional athletes and NFL and Major League Baseball and a bunch of other stuff. So in fact, I was talking to some of the basketball players as well. So I understand this. We know what to do.
Yeah,
we know
definitely.
about a lot of stuff. And so just let us know.
Yeah, you were at Berkeley when Jason Kidd was, right?
Yes, I was at Berkeley at Jason Kidd. In fact, I remember seeing Jason Kidd with Mark McGuire and some of the people over there at one of the clubs in near Pacific Heights and stuff like that. Jay Kidd, man, rolled in the house, Berkeley. A lot of people were that. I mean, I tell you right now, that class at Berkeley, we had very close to me. You had Aaron Rodgers coming through there. He may have been a little bit after me. Aaron, the great Aaron Rodgers. You had
that
Jason,
super running back,
Marshawn Lynch. You had you also had Tony Gonzalez, tight end.
Yeah, Kidd and Gonzalez played at the same time there. That's right.
Yeah, we used to go train together over at Memorial Gym and everything like that. And Robin Pound was the strength coach there, and so many different people. I'm telling you, dude, I've forgotten more about training and lifting and training pro athletes than a lot of people will ever know. I'm just telling you that right now. And we may bring it all back right here. It never ends. This is what I'm talking about. So we love it. We appreciate everybody out there. There's so much to talk about here. Appreciate you, Paul. So listen, if you want this content out there, and by some of the comments and some of the numbers here that you may want this, then let us know and we'll dive in it. We'll keep going because I think this story is just beginning. We're just at the beginning story stage of this, Paul. So I think there's a lot to talk about here. Anyway, appreciate it, everybody. It's almost midnight, so I better sign off. So we will see you next time. But for Paul, I'm John. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.